And I will tell you, like, if I like the woman, I will find a sitter.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that?
Okay.
Actually, don't say that.
Did you hear that? If he likes you,
Don't cut
he'll
that.
find a sitter.
Just kidding.
He's
Don't cut that. Like,
No, please don't.
Lindsay, would
there
you?
might be-
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on Dating Today, a conversation about modern dating issues. My name is Brock. I'm joined today by my co-host, Maraa. Say hi.
Hello.
And we're also joined today by Tag and Lindsay, and we're going to be talking about dating as a single parent. Add it up. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is our first episode actually in the new space. This is something I've been looking forward to, and I'm so glad you guys are able to share this moment, especially Maraa. She's known that we've been trying this for about 5 months.
Yeah.
It has been a time coming. What we want to do is today talk about dating as a single parent. This is something that I'm not a single parent, but I've dated single parents. I've had really great experiences, some not so great. Not saying that it had anything to do with them being a single parent. I think it was more just a personality type of thing. I think Maraa has also dated some
I've
single
dated
parents as well.
Many.
Yes,
single parents.
good, bad.
Generally always good.
Yeah.
You know, I think like most of the time parents got their heads on their shoulders.
I think so.
So they kind of have to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, most of the single parents such as yourselves, I find to be very high quality people, very about a regiment,
Yep.
about schedules, about respecting time. That's definitely something that people who don't have kids seem to really not care about is
Yep.
respecting other people's time. But I want to go ahead and just get you guys to join the conversation. Lindsay,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing so well. I'm so glad you were able to join us
Me
today.
too.
First question. What is the hardest thing about dating as a single parent? And Tag, this question will come to you as well.
Ooh.
It'll probably be the same answer. But
Probably. Let's hear it.
Well, I think it goes back to what you mentioned about time. But as a single parent, I think one of the toughest and most difficult things for me, so it's twofold.
Mhm.
One would be the integrity of the other person,
Okay.
and making sure that your values and core values line up, that
Sure.
you're compatible.
Sure.
The other part, and that goes with parenting as well. How do they parent their children, and what are the differences?
Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about this as you dating somebody who also has kids, like you
Yes.
having to balance and try and get that like.
Right. Well, they have parenting schedules. You have your parenting
Yes.
schedules, and how are they going to line up? And how are you going to be intentional and make time for each other?
Sure.
So I think being intentional is a huge part of that. But the second part and the other biggest challenge is how do they get along with their exes, and what kind of drama is going to come in with that as well?
Big time.
That can always be
Big
another
time.
factor.
100%. That and when I dated single mothers, that was one of the first things I always thought about. Was like, what's the relationship like with your ex, like with the parent of, or like the father of your child, the mother of yours. Like, what is that relationship like? Because that was always a red flag if that was really not a healthy dynamic. If
Absolutely.
there was constant turmoil, I was like, God, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
No, I agree.
I tend to always, I
No,
tend
go.
to always like ask that almost right up front, like what's that relationship between you and
That's a
your
first state question.
other spouse, you know, what does that look like, and how do you guys co-parent? Is that a healthy relationship or is it rocky? You know, and a lot of people I've, that I've dated have said, we have a really good, healthy relationship. We've maintained boundaries, and I think that's really important to know that, that those things can be controlled.
For sure.
And that you guys are in, harmony, because I think that's important, and not just for the dating relationship, but also for kids too. It's important.
Absolutely.
And even though I don't have kids, I do care about kids a lot. So I think like it's important to make sure
Same.
like that I'm not going to be coming into a world for them where it's already on shaky ground.
Sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I agree.
Tag, what about yourself? What's the most difficult thing about dating as a single parent?
yeah, for me, the most difficult thing about dating as a single parent has really just been scheduling.
Yeah.
Just finding a person whose parenting schedule matches with mine. I'm an involved parent. I have my kids 50% of the time. And unless the person that I'm interested in has a schedule that matches with that, like the likelihood of us being able to have time for each other is pretty low.
Sure.
And I don't have a whole lot of time as it is. So,
Gotcha.
in fact, there was a woman I met about a year ago who we had great chemistry. We went on one date and had an amazing time. And then, like, the last thing we talked about was like, oh, what's your parenting schedule? And it was literally the exact opposite.
Complete
like,
clash.
Every single day that I didn't have my kids, she had hers. So anytime that we were even going to try to develop a relationship, we had to get a sitter. Like, that was it. Neither of us had family in town, so babysitting was kind of an issue.
So is it easier dating another single parent, or do you intentionally try to date somebody who doesn't have kids?
So I'll be honest, I don't actually date women that don't have kids.
Okay. Intentionally?
And that's intentionally, and that's a personal decision that I've made. I've discovered that for me, it's I have a lot of love to give, and
Sure.
it's difficult for me to have a person I'm interested in understand that at best she's number 4 on my priority list. Like, at best. So no matter what, she's number 4.
It's hard.
It's hard to
for somebody that you're going to start dating, for them to come into that and them accept that.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the hardest things when I was dating a single parent, was realizing I'll never be number 1 in that person's life. At least not until there is a final commitment.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like saying the I do's. Like that's the only time that you take that number 1 place. So yeah, if you're going to be dating a single parent, like, you got to know you're not coming in at anybody's priority level.
Yeah.
That's definitely something difficult. Maraa, did you experience that when you dated some of the single parents?
Yeah, I mean, I think with every single parent that, first of all, I'll say, like, on almost every single profile you match with, that with people who have kids, they all say, I have kids, they're my number 1, they're the love of my life, like, they come before anything, whatever, like, the phrase you can imagine kids have, that's the phrase you see. So immediately, it's almost like right away, you're like, okay, I know where my place is.
Yep.
And so for me, I've never really questioned that, because obviously I know, like, children are an important place with that person. I think dating I dated this one guy recently, and he really had a great perspective on it. And you mentioned, you're like, I get my kids 50% of the time. And I think when you think about that, in his situation, he was married, and, their marriage broke up on his account. And he's like, I didn't really think about the things that would have occurred at that point, the repercussions of, cheating, infidelity. And, he's like, now I only see my children 50% of the time. So that means 50% of the time, I have to be 100% for them.
Yeah.
And so that means I can't be with you those times. I
No
can't,
if, ands,
yeah,
or
I
buts.
can't really, like, justify being away from them.
Yeah.
Even sometimes on weeks where I'm free, he has, his children were in the sporting time. He's got, softball, baseball, etc. His kids have games that he can still attend. He's like, well, I can't really justify seeing you if I know that they have a game. Like, I don't want to miss their games. And so I think it is a crucial thing to go into, even dating, knowing that you're not going to be number 1.
Yeah.
And
100%.
that can be hard for a lot of people. And
It
I
can.
think women specifically, probably harder, because we're used to being
That center.
treated, as the center.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely difficult.
Lindsay, you have one
I have one
daughter. What type of activities is she into?
Oh my goodness, she does horseback riding. She runs track.
Nice.
She cheers, and she plays soccer, indoor and outdoor.
Yeah.
So we stay busy.
Nice.
So,
I feel like kids have busier lives than, like, me as an adult, because people come in and like, they have I'm like,
Well, that's
oh
the
my
other
gosh.
thing is, so as a single parent who has their kids in extracurricular activities, it's not just, hey, they got to go to school and then they got to have homework, but all these extra things also require your personal involvement as well. So when you're dating somebody, they need to know that, like, it's not just your schedule.
Nope.
It's their schedule as well. Like, I got to take them to soccer practice, gymnastics. I got to take them to this.
Absolutely.
Like, that is super, super tough. How do you explain that to somebody who doesn't have kids?
So I've dated a couple of people who haven't had children, and I don't think that's a tough conversation.
Okay.
I think it's just a very intentional conversation in which you just let them know where the boundaries are and what the expectations will be.
Sure.
But that's where I think that if you are having those conversations on the front end and you are intentional about, mean, if you like somebody and you want to schedule time with them, you'll make the time and you'll
Sure.
find
Right.
the time.
Sure.
People always make time for whatever their priorities actually
So
are.
are you looking, when you're dating, intentionally like Tag, looking for somebody who's also a single parent, or does it not really matter too much?
No, for
Yeah.
me,
Just
I
a
don't.
quality individual.
The integrity of the person is more important to me than whether they do or don't have children.
Sure.
Now, I honestly haven't dated anyone who didn't understand my parenting dynamic.
Gotcha.
And which mine is 50-50 as well. But I do have the one, so I don't have a bunch of competing priorities. It's
Sure.
one daughter, but we schedule everything, and if you're intentional and you want to do it, you can make it happen.
Gotcha.
And I think guys, maybe it is a difference between men and women, but I think guys are pretty understanding. But I'm also an independent person, so I let people have their independence as well. So go do your guy time. Go do your guy thing. We'll meet up. We'll see each other. We'll schedule something.
Sure.
I'll send you a Google calendar.
Right. Here's the Google invite.
Oh, yeah.
See everything.
You can
It'll be a
see.
Google
Well,
invite.
what is, so we're talking about the type of people that you're looking for, that you're dating. What are some of the things that you're truly looking for in somebody? I mean, is it like they need to be obviously very understanding, but what are some things that like maybe are immediate, like, hey, you're not going to be able to measure up, and quick, like, hey, you're not going to be able to get with your program, because your
Outside
program's
of-
the one that can't bend. Theirs typically can.
Yes, and I would say outside of your core values, let's say that they match core values, because you did mention that earlier.
Yeah.
So obviously we know if they can't meet that, that's an automatic no.
Yeah,
So let's say they line up similarly. They may not be 100%. There's some flexibility there. What is outside of that you're like?
Yeah, the
outside
the
of
bigger,
that?
deeper.
Yeah, I don't think you know their core values for a while. I think
Sure,
that's something
sure,
that
sure.
you discover over a period of time when you're dating someone. But initially, one of the biggest things is, do they have, you mentioned the structure in your, parents, single parents have to have structure in their life.
For sure.
You know what? If I'm dating a guy and they don't have any structure in theirs, you're not going to have structure with me too.
Yeah.
So I want to think of myself as a feminine woman. So I want a masculine man, somebody who's clear, decisive. They know what they want. And if they're clear and decisive, they'll schedule it. They'll
Tag
make time.
over.
they'll make
Exactly
time.
what I want.
They'll make time for their priorities. But I want someone who has, and it's difficult to say someone who has their life together, because nobody does 100% of the time.
For sure.
But I
For
mean,
sure.
if
Someone
you're
has a good head on their shoulders.
if you don't have your life together, you certainly aren't going to lead me and be able to, give me any clear, decisive
Okay.
direction at all. So,
Intentionality
yes.
matters.
So that's one of the first things that I would say I look for.
Nice. Tag, how about yourself? You have 3 kids.
I have 3 kids,
Tell me the ages again.
9, 11, and 13.
And how are you balancing all this?
it's-
What's the involvement of the mom?
It's a running nightmare most of the time.
It's a running nightmare. I love it.
No, it's great. Look, I'm incredibly lucky to have a great co-parent. We have a great co-parenting relationship.
A relationship that allows you to date in a healthy way. There's no drama. There's no nothing like that.
Yeah, I did a lot of work. Went to a lot of therapy. Which, if you're getting divorced, go to therapy. I did a lot of therapy around that season, and really went into the disconnection portion of that heavily. So
Sure.
we have a great relationship because we don't have one. The only context of our relationship
Is the kids.
Is the kids.
Yes.
We don't talk about anything except for the logistics of, when softball, when's volleyball,
Right.
when's swimming lessons. That's the sort of stuff.
I think that's super healthy. I
it
really
is.
do.
It is. It is. So.
And is she locally based? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that's great. She got into a relationship almost immediately after our divorce, and has been very serious with the guy since then.
Okay.
So it's been interesting to see my kids kind of adjust to mom having a boyfriend almost immediately.
Sure.
I haven't introduced my kids to anybody
Right.
that I've dated so far. I haven't gotten really serious enough with somebody to where.
No one's quite earned that moment. Do you have them? Is it 50-50, or do you have sole custody, or how's
It's 50-50.
It is 50-50. Okay.
Yeah. So can you repeat the question that you had?
Well, yeah, no, you're totally fine.
I got
What
lost there
what
for a
is it
second.
that you find as an overall deal breaker? Like obviously, you can see the real easy things, but once you start dating, where are you this isn't gonna work. You're not able to understand. You're not able to step up. You're not gonna, as harsh as this sounds, you're not gonna be able to measure up. What are the things that you're looking for?
Well, I think that I got some. I'm very lucky that I have a very good co-parent, and so I'm not trying to find my kids a mother. They have a mother.
True.
I have a great mother, and I don't my kids don't need a second mother.
Sure.
So I think that, and in fact, I talk about that fairly early on when I'm starting to see someone more seriously. Is, hey,
Sure.
we need to talk about what a dynamic might look like, and I'll say those exact words. Like, my kids have a mom.
Sure.
Like, they don't need a mom.
Yeah. They don't have an absent parent.
Yeah.
But do you look for someone that's going to be, like motherly or nurturing in that aspect? Because I
Or
think
is
a lot
that
of men,
irrelevant?
obviously they're not like looking to replace somebody because they have that. But, and we'll speak in the general that most men have that person, have that other person in their children's life. But yeah, is that like a thing where you're like, where are you trying to, I think for me as a single person, like, what role do I fill inside of someone who has children?
Sure.
And like, do I get to come across, like, not that I would want to be like a second mom or like whatever, but like, is being a best friend okay? Or is that like, you don't want them to be a best friend? Like, do I hold standards and boundaries for children that are yours? Like, where do I, where is it like, this crosses the line, but this is kind of where I want you to stack up? Like, at what point do you look at that person and go, wow, this person is outstanding, or whatever, and they kind of meet that match for you? What does that look like?
So are you looking for somebody to be a mother figure, even though they have a mother, but that's still going to step into that mother role in a way?
I'm not.
You're not. That's not a prereq. Like, you're not thinking like, hey, this is a position. Because I know a lot of women do.
Well, so I'm gonna answer that a little bit differently. I don't need anybody to be my daughter's father either. She's got a great dad. We co-parent very well in a very healthy way, and she even has a bonus mom on the other side, which is fantastic. What I do look for is someone who can get along very well, and my daughter's very comfortable with him. Now, do they have to have that fatherly? No. But I do want somebody who's going to invest time and energy in my daughter. I have one.
Yes.
And I want somebody I know that if something were to happen, she's comfortable with them, they're comfortable with her, and if I had to go somewhere, I'm not worried about the dynamics
like
there.
They're safe, you feel good. But also they're a good example of what in the future perhaps they should look for in someone that they're looking for. Like, hey, they're a good indicator in a way. Okay.
Same answer.
Same answer?
Okay. Yeah, no, and my primary objective in dating is to find a partner for myself.
Sure.
And when it comes to the point where things get serious, it's the next part of my agenda is to say, hey, will this person be a good part of our family?
Sure.
And of course, if it's a no, then that's an immediate veto.
Got you.
Go no further.
So what does a partner for both of you look like?
Yeah.
Ooh, do you want me to go first?
Yeah. You probably have
Go for it. These are the fun ones. Let's go.
So so I guess for me, a good partner is, again, somebody who's going to mesh well with my daughter and be comfortable there. But for me, the qualities, like, again, I want a very masculine man. I want somebody who has structure, has their life somewhat together and can lead. Day to day, I'm not looking for like a specific schedule. It's got to be like this regimen, and no. But I do want a best friend. I can have fun and go with the flow, and you live life happy-go-lucky, but then you have the serious conversations. And I think there has to be a lot more playful still.
For sure.
I don't think it's any different when you have kids. You still need a lot more playful. And I think kids need to see that too.
I agree.
Even as adults, we still play, we still have fun, we still joke around, we banter a little bit back and forth in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And then we can also sit down and have serious conversations in which one that's I found very, very important to me is how do you work through conflict? So if you're
Beautiful.
So when you're
100%.
disagreeing with their parenting, like I've dated guys who have also had children, when you're disagreeing with something they're doing in their parenting situation, how are you going to handle that?
That can be tricky.
And how are you going to work through it quickly and effectively?
Yeah.
That is huge.
Because you don't want the kids to see you two conflicting. Like,
no.
You two have to be on the same page. You have to reprimand very similarly and back each other up.
That's something you have privately, but for kids to see conflict and how you can disagree in front of children in a very healthy way.
Sure.
And they need to see how you work through it, or that you've never set a good example.
Exactly.
These
are skills that they will develop through observation.
Absolutely. That's any relationship.
Have you noticed, both of you have single friends. We were actually even talking about one earlier. Have you noticed that when guys or women date your single friends, that they date kind of differently than you do? Like, Tag's
Okay,
already shaking his head.
I'm like, let's hear it.
Yeah. How are you all being dated differently? Because I know you are. So a woman starts dating you. I'm sure she's dating you in a different way that she would date a guy with no kids. And a guy would date you differently than he would date a woman with no kids. How is it different? What are you all experiencing? Tag, go first.
Oh my God, I need to gather my thoughts on this.
Yeah.
That's how I feel most of the time. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a minute.
Lindsay, if you're ready,
You know,
Yeah.
go
I
for
don't
it.
think that I've noticed a big difference. Well, I think everybody dates differently. Just
Sure.
I mean, depending on what the
But there's different levels of expectations. There's different ways of
Absolutely.
approaching.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
different ways of even
Yes.
talking. Like someone who might not have kids, and then someone does. You might say something to the childless person that you think you might be able to get away with, but that you wouldn't even try with the parent in a way because you know, like, hey, maybe they're not gonna let something slide. For example, like, hey, these people.
I might get in trouble.
I might get in trouble.
You know,
Exactly.
like, they're
have
on
you
their
noticed
guns
a little bit of a
more.
difference? I mean,
You know,
you dated before you have a
haven't.
child, of course.
Yeah,
Now you do.
absolutely.
So, what's the difference? What are you noticing differently now?
You know, I really can't. I really couldn't recall anything that's really different.
Sure.
I just think that expectations are expectations, and like
Mm-hmm.
I said, whether I have my child or whether I don't, I'm still the same person.
Sure.
I'm the same person. And I don't know that I've ever really tested anybody who hasn't or has had a child. I can just say this, that I have friends that all date differently, and even older children that are able, they're more flexible and able to do more things. And I do think it's different if you have multiple children and you have one,
Sure.
two, and the age of the child. I think that's the biggest factor. If they're small children, they're more needy for attention. I mean, older ones are too, but we talked about the difference in the smaller children, what their needs are, and then the older, how you engage them differently. And it's
But do you see the way that the guy would try to date you? Would his investment levels be different? Would his chasing levels be different? Would he be trying to get more of your time differently? Like, what do you notice a difference? Like,
For instance, maybe you have a friend that goes out more because they're able to. Not,
are they more are they more
Yeah.
accommodating to the strictness of your schedule, or do they like
Right.
hit you up like, hey, let's go get a drink in an hour, or you're like,
Yeah.
Okay, Tag's ready. He's ready.
Okay,
He's
thoughts
like,
have been
yes, I'm ready for
collected.
Yeah. So from the jump, it gets it's difficult because
There's that acclimation process.
well, and I'm also very picky about who gets a second date.
Sure.
Right.
As you should.
As you should.
But even to the point of, hey, like the whole hey, let's take this back to my place has to be on the calendar.
Yeah, that's got to be scheduled.
Like, it's gotta be
Give us enough
scheduled.
Well, let me
time.
see,
We're not
I got-
second dating, but
I got 3 kids at my place.
Right.
yeah.
And they're probably not cool. I mean,
Yeah.
So you have kids at your place,
Right.
but you also are dating people who also have
And that's
kids. So
it.
you're like,
Yeah. But
which
also-
one of us don't have kids at our place?
Right.
This
But
week?
also-
Like, let me see what my weekend looks like. I think.
Wednesday, 12:30. I've
Oh,
got a good
well,
hour.
great.
And that's the second part is if a date goes well, if there's no kids involved on either side, it's more of a hey, like, what are you doing tomorrow? Hey, let's hit the farmer's market and let's like
Yeah. It's as if there's
Wait,
no
they're like
whatever.
this, or you're like
they're
this?
like this.
Okay.
And I'm like
You're down. Let's
I'm
go.
good. No, I'm like I've got next Tuesday night.
I've got these errands I have to run.
Like,
Yeah,
Right.
I've got a grocery
You know?
shop, and I've got to work out,
Yep.
and I've got to.
but it's just because I have so many things on my schedule because of my kids. Like, it can't, like, impromptu things. I'm a very impromptu person, but
Sure.
like I've got like Tuesdays are my impromptu days. Like,
Right.
so
But do you let them know that up front? You're like, you know what? If you're gonna be like impromptu, Tuesday's the day.
I do, but they
How
don't
do
listen
you let
very
them
often.
know that?
Yeah.
How do you like you know?
I
you
tell
get the
them-
message. Hey,
You
let's
say,
let's
"This
go
is
grab
what
a
I'm
drink tonight. Like, how are you receiving? And then what are you saying in response? Because obviously you don't want to chase them off. You don't want to scare them off.
Right.
You're like, you know, my schedule's tough. I can't. Like, that's not how
Yeah.
you want to come off. So
But people
how
don't
are you?
come off like that.
I'm not grumpy.
I'm
I'm not
aware.
grumpy about it.
Yes.
Oh my.
So
Usually
how
it's
do you
me.
respond to that person who's really thinking because they're used to just dropping a hat. Let's go get a drink. Let's go eat. Let's go wherever, farmer's market. Like,
this is going great.
How do you respond?
Let's do more.
Exactly. How do you respond? Because you don't want to scare them off. You don't want to come off as harsh. Like, how do you do that? How are you balancing this? Yes.
For me, it comes up naturally because in the conversation about kids, like, what is your parenting relationship?
Sure.
I mean, all the stuff we've talked about tonight comes up on the first date anyway.
Okay.
So
Sure.
So I usually use that as an opportunity. I don't ever come out and say, "Hey, like, you're probably not gonna get to see me for a week." Like, I don't say that, but
Right.
I mean, I've had people say that though. They'll be straight up like,
Yeah.
"Hey, sorry, it's gonna be like a week and a half before you see me again."
Yep.
I'm like,
And I will
before we
tell-
have an opportunity.
and I will tell you, like, if I like the woman, I will find a sitter.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that?
okay.
Actually, don't say that.
Did you hear that? If he likes you,
Don't cut
he'll
that.
find a sitter.
Just kidding.
He's
Don't cut that.
Nope.
Yeah, please don't.
Lindsay,
'Cause
would
there
you?
might be
Would
some
you?
people-
Absolutely.
But by sitter, obviously you mean someone.
That's how
trusted.
y'all know.
Absolutely.
If they're finding
They're
a
not
sitter,
like-
they really like you.
They're not just like picking some rando
Yeah.
off like
Hey.
sitters.com. You
And
know.
that goes back to the age of the child too. Are they able to stay home for a few
Yeah.
minutes by themselves? You know, I mean, if have just gotten home from school and they're doing their whatever, their homework and doing things they need to do, can you hop out for a minute, go
Yeah.
have a quick drink, whatever?
Grocery
Exactly.
run.
Yeah.
I love
Oh, I
it.
forgot the milk, guys.
We'd
I'll be
make
right
it work.
back.
You'll make
I
it.
Instacart. I can't say that.
Dang, they would know
I know.
right away.
They would
Like,
know.
Mom,
But
you always
yeah,
Instacart.
it's
Mom's gonna be right back. I'll see you guys in an hour.
yeah.
Yeah.
We all
Make sure the
we all
laundry's
make time
folded.
for our
See you
priorities
later.
Yeah,
and what's
absolutely.
important to us.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, yes, we would.
But that's the telltale. If you get the babysitter,
Yeah.
that's how
But
you
you're
know.
not
That's
letting
how
them
you know you're making the cut. That's how you know you're doing the right thing so far. I love it. Okay. All right. I got a couple different questions here. When you're meeting somebody new, what are your expectations? Because for you to be meeting somebody new, you've probably connected with them on a dating app, referral of a friend, something like that. So they surely know that you have a child. They know, or children. What are you expecting? How are you expecting them to behave? Or like, are they
How do you filter?
Yeah, how do you filter? Like, how are you handling that?
Well, I mean, on the first date, I really don't expect anything.
Okay.
We see that's the qualifying. Like we've probably already had some initial conversation,
Sure.
and there was something
Couple
there
chats back and
that
forth,
made
little
me want
something.
to take more time to meet them. But on the first date, I still don't have expectations for anything, and I think
Okay.
that's big because I don't think you should expect very much from an initial meeting, and you're just seeing is there attraction, is
Sure.
there anything more that makes me want to. What compels me to want to
Sure,
go back
yeah,
out with this person
sure,
again?
sure.
Because I mean, time is a huge and valuable resource when you're a single
Big
parent.
time.
I mean, working full time, trying to maintain your home, maintain children's schedules, maintain their homework, their school. It's huge. But at the same time, I don't think. I mean, I'm dating later in life, so I don't think I have anything to expect.
Later in life?
I mean, older.
That's
But I
fair.
don't think you expect anything from anybody, especially when you first meet them. But I do think if they want a second date, there's some qualifying things that, first, did the conversation, did it flow well? Was there, an attraction? Did they look like their dating profile or their Facebook,
Damn.
whatever?
Damn. Okay.
I was
Catfishing.
like, guys catfish too.
Oh,
Don't even
we've been
get me
talking
started.
about that on this show. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about that all the time.
So, what?
So I got catfish once.
Just one?
Just once. But yeah.
Yeah.
Catfish.
Me
I don't
too.
know. I mean,
Me
like,
too.
does height count as catfishing?
Of course it does. I mean, anything any type of dishonesty or exaggeration is
Is-
catfishing.
Yes.
100%. 100%.
Okay. Well, maybe then I'll add like 2 more times to that. So 3. Like, 3 total. If you add height into that. Only
Yes.
because they were like,
Right.
and we're going to talk about like, only because
If they're
they were
lying
like,
about an inch, let it go. But
It
no,
was like 3 inches.
But when I
no,
wear
they're,
my
they're doing it on
heels-
purpose.
And then
Because
I was,
sometimes
like,
I feel a
bit
little taller
than
than I am one day or not. Maybe
And
I'm
she
6
wore her
foot, maybe I'm
heels.
6'1", maybe I'm 5'11". I don't know.
But don't lie.
But
She's
that's
going to wear her
okay.
heels based on
I
that.
know.
Right? You're good.
And if you are short, don't show up in flip-flops. Give yourself
Hold
a
on.
chance. I'm sorry.
Never show
Show up
up
to
in
flip-flops.
flip-flops.
Ever.
Ever.
No
Unless we're
chacos,
going
no
to the
flip-flops.
beach. Unless you're going to the beach. then
Unless
maybe
you've just
I'll
got
let
done
it slide.
hiking, but other than that,
But once
no.
we're off the boardwalk, we're
Gross,
done.
like-
It's got to go.
No woman wants to see a man's toes on the
I
first
don't.
date.
I don't
Disgusting.
I don't want to see one of your dating profile.
Got
I'm being
Frodo
honest.
going
Like,
on over here. That is not
I don't wanna
attractive.
know about that yet. Like, give me a chance to get to know you first before I know your piggies. Like, give me a moment.
Before I know your piggy.
That's awesome.
This little piggy.
Is
went
your
home.
height listed on dating apps?
Absolutely.
Or is that something?
For sure.
Yeah, and you can add.
Are you
6...
not on any dating apps, Tag?
Not really right now.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I'm like, you can add 6 inches to mine because generally I wear anywhere from like 2 to 3 or 6 inches in heels. So it needs to be somewhere around that number.
Okay.
Based on my height.
So I think that's big for a date too. Do you feel authentic and like do you feel like you could be yourself? And then the other part of that, like feminine. Like I want to feel feminine. I mean, I'm a parent, but I want to have good conversation. I want to have good connection. I want to feel very feminine.
Of course. I got you. Okay. What could the people that you're dating do to make dating easier for you? Tag, start. What could they do to make it easier for you?
man, I'm a 9. This is such a hard question for me.
I'm just anything. I mean,
What do they do to make it easier for me?
yeah.
Do you think maybe just like
No
even
more
just
spur of the moment.
Yeah,
things?
you know
I
what?
mean,
Just maybe be a bit more
No.
intentional with like reaching out as far as like scheduling things with you. Like, you know, hey, what does your schedule look like a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance?
I have something.
let's go.
And it's not. This is so just for me. So if
Okay.
you're watching, this
It's
is
tailored.
just
So
for
just
me.
okay.
So if we're trying to get a second date going or a
Yes.
third date or whatever,
Well, you're always trying to get a second or third date, right?
Maybe.
You're
I'm-
If
trying.
you like them.
I mean,
if
we
you
like,
like-
if the
If you
first
like,
date
if
was
they're
okay.
qualifying, yes.
Okay.
So if we're
Things are going
trying and it seems like I'm not super available, I'm trying to make things work, like offer a time that works for you.
Okay.
Don't make me fish for a time
Okay.
in your schedule.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
that's-
Like, I feel like that's
so okay. So
I
on
feel
the
like that's
first,
across the
so
board.
on the first date, let the person who's the parent know what your availability is, as fast as quickly as possible, as clearly as possible. Say what's easy for you, because
So if I say-
you as the parent, you already have a lot of demands on your time. Make it easy for you to know what their schedule is.
because I'm gonna have to bump something off my schedule.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So tell me, like, if I say, "Hey, how about next Thursday?"
Yes.
If next Thursday doesn't work for you, that's great.
Yep.
But
don't-
give you a realm.
But say,
of,
hey,
like,
but say Thursday doesn't work. Wednesday works for me. That's
Mm-hmm.
great. Like, just give me.
Sure.
Don't make me
know.
fish for like.
You're like, what
a
about
woman
Wednesday?
that's
What about
a woman
Friday?
that's interested will let you know too.
Yeah.
They'll say, "Hey, look, you know, I have my daughter Thursday, but she goes back to her dad's on Friday." Then that's how I let them know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's
You're
If I
free.
can-
Wait, say that
Yeah.
again.
Up to
Say that
that.
one
well.
more
So if they ask me, you know, "Hey, can you go out on Thursday?" No, I can't do Thursday. I have my daughter. However, I can do Friday. She'll be at her dad's until the following Friday.
time. Okay.
So you're
So
like, my week's open. Let me know.
Yeah, in case you forgot my parenting schedule, here it is again.
Yeah.
You're
Which I think is
asking.
also so true, and just across the board in general, because I even find that like a lot of times, you know, even just setting up the first date or second date, it's like, what's your schedule look like? What's your work schedule look like? You know, whatever. And then I give them my free time, and then they plan something that's not even in my free time, and I'm like,
Well, what I just found
what
interesting
was that about?
is you two actually said the complete opposite.
Yeah.
You want to know what their availability is. You want to tell them what yours is.
Well,
Why is
if they're
this?
well, I'm very direct. I don't I don't play games. I'm very direct, and if they ask me out,
Yep.
they're showing interest. I want to show my interest back.
Sure.
I'm going to
Sure,
tell
sure.
them, well, I can't then, but I can do it, and I'm direct and telling them.
I
yes.
love
feel
how
like you're
I love how
giving them-
naturally feminine that is.
It is.
This is when I'm available. You need to initiate with me.
Right.
You need to plan.
You're still in the masculine, which is fantastic. Give me your availability. That way I can initiate. So
Yeah.
that's actually really, really important for the followers, listeners, viewers to pay attention to. Is that is how you are showing your intent. That's
Yep.
fantastic.
It's true. I don't know that I've ever
I never thought about
done
that.
it like that. I've always, and I will say I'm pretty fairly in the masculine a lot. That's one where I'm not. I'm like, I want you to pursue. So I want you to so I'll give you my availability all day long. I just want you to like ask for my time because that's important to me.
Well,
it makes me know that you want to like
you're interested.
spend. Yeah.
And if they're asking you out, they're interested. It's just we've got to figure out where the common ground is to making this work.
Sure.
And when you do have children, it's gotta be more. Hey, to have good communication skills, you got to be on point with that one.
Oh, absolutely.
And intentional.
So what are your communication style requirements? Obviously, we can text, we can call, we can do all these types of things, but like frequency, clarity. Like, do you think that phone calls are more necessary to set things up? Like, how are you preferring? Because some of the single parents that I dated did not actually like me to give them a phone call. They preferred it in text. I was like, that's very calendar of you. Okay, I can, because they wanted it there, they can refer to it, and they're always busy. Taking a phone call is hard to do sometimes. They're like, just don't even call. Just text it. That way we can refer back to it. I was like, I kind of felt like I was like, you know, like this is very business-like, but I got you. I understand.
You're one of the kids at that point.
I know. I was like, yeah, but hey, that's what you had to do to play the game.
ADD
So
asked me to be like that in general. So.
But what are your communication?
I prefer a phone call.
Preferences?
Well, I prefer in person,
Okay.
but just to communicate, I prefer a phone call. However, during my work day, if I'm at work and I'm doing my thing and you're at work doing, sometimes text is necessary.
Sure.
And I am good with, if it's, we need to figure this out in a quick, whatever way, I'm good with a text.
Sure.
However, if it's a crucial conversation or something we just
Sure.
need to be more, that's a phone call every day.
Of course, yeah. The most important stuff
So, but I
definitely
don't
has to be
have,
phone calls.
I like to let the man lead that one too
Yeah?
a bit. I don't, frequency, like, you can text me when, but now if it's too much, I just don't respond as frequent.
Okay.
Yeah, you
That
kind
does happen.
you kind of show the boundary a little bit by not giving them responses right away.
Correct.
Okay.
You have to set the tone for
You
that.
kind of have to check
if
it
it's
a
too
little
much.
bit. So
Sure.
they know, like, oh wait, she's not texting
Right,
right away. Maybe
right.
she's busy. Maybe I'll like they're not matching the text level.
Right. And you
So I
mirror
think that's
to a certain point.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Tag, what were you?
No, so I am. I'm an elder millennial, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
Same.
or a very young Gen Xer. So I FaceTime. I love it. Like
Me
I
too.
love
That's
FaceTime.
Me too.
Love
Like,
FaceTime.
Love FaceTime because I do struggle, and this is just me. I do struggle with social cues sometimes.
Okay.
So
Personal social cues or texting social cues?
texting.
Okay.
Texting. Like I tell people straight up, I do not play games. Like because
No
I don't.
Monopoly.
I do not know what the game is. I don't know the rules. And so if you're playing a game, you need to know that I'm not playing the game.
I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're playing a game. So if you're not responsive to me, or if you know I'm trying to banter with you through text or whatever, and you're not responding,
Sure.
I 100% interpret that as you're not interested in me.
Okay.
Like without a doubt, immediately, I'm like,
It's a negative for you.
it's-
You're like,
I'm-
they don't
I'm-
want
It's a
me
no.
out.
like you play hard to get and just go.
Yeah.
Like because I
Is there
and
like
that's,
repair
that's
from
my
that? Like,
that's
if
my
they
problem.
do and come back and
Oh, good question.
they didn't know,
We'll follow
like,
it up with one.
if they were like, I didn't know you didn't know that I was playing hard to get.
Mhm.
Not that they were trying to
Right.
like be like that, but like what if they're like, you know, I was just kind of like
I don't
being that
know.
way. Are they able to come back and like salvage that?
I don't know. I've never had somebody really salvage it. I've had two people who I just ran into, and they had been drinking quite a bit, and they were like, "Why did you ghost me?" And I'm like, I was like, "What are you talking?" Like,
I thought you hated my guts.
I literally asked you. I was like, I literally asked you like when I could see you again, and you never responded. And so yeah. So
It's real spooky.
Is there a way to do that? I don't know. I don't
You've
know.
not encountered it, so you can't really say.
So,
But I'll be honest with you. If someone came back to me and said, "Hey, like
What the heck?
if I was interested in you back then, I'm probably still interested in you."
Okay.
So
Sure.
So yeah, like if you start
As long as something negative hasn't truly happened
Yeah.
that you guys have
Right,
acknowledged
yeah.
together.
So I'll say this, as a single mom, I get caught up in my business day, my work day, picking up my child, running all around. And there are times where maybe we were texting and all of a sudden I may drop off for a little while.
Like 4 hours.
But I'll come back, and if you like somebody, you'll be like,
But that needs to be understood.
Oh my-
as somebody
that's
who's
what
dating
I'm
a
talking
single
about.
parent, that
Yeah,
like
sorry,
when you go silent for
Correct.
4, 5, 6 hours, it's not disinterest necessarily.
No.
It's usually because you are so involved in not just your
Correct.
work,
Yeah.
but you are literally living multiple lives in a way because you have to, you know,
Yeah, you do.
You have to, again, go to the practices. You have to get them to school. You have to help them with homework.
Yeah.
So
you have a lot of hats to put on and take off.
and other single parents, dating single parents, they get that. But the single people who don't have kids, that's definitely something that they need to understand. Yeah. I think I understood that, but I didn't at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like, how hard can it be?
Yeah.
How busy can they be? I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, the older I
get it now.
The older I get, I'm like, first of all, I'm always tired. So, like, if I'm being honest, like, I used to have, like, be Energizer Bunny. I could be like, let's go and party till, 2 a.m., leave the bar, and have an after party till 4 a.m. Let's watch the sunrise. I'm driving home, like this. And, I got, like, 2 hours of sleep, or I've slept on someone's couch with, like, their jacket and, freezing to death, whatever. And still have to go work a double that next day. I'm like, whatever, no big deal. Do it all again. First of all, I'm older now. That is not me and has never been me after that point.
Yeah.
So I think, and so I got a dog. I got a new dog. I've had her for a year. And
she's fantastic, by the way.
Love her. Love her so much. I was like, wow. I'm like, this is a lot of work. I'm like, I have to, I feel so guilty when I'm at work and I'm, away from her for hours. I'm like, can't imagine. I can't wait to be a parent. But I'm like, I can't imagine what it'd be like to be a parent. Because I'm like, you're working. And then you're like, but I feel guilty. You have all these, exhausting, draining thoughts mentally that you have to go through. And then you also have to have energy to deal with said opposite parent if they're in the picture.
Sure.
You also have to deal with school and who's showing up to the PTA meeting and who's going to be on the PTA board, who forgot to bring cupcakes, and, can they go to their friend's, birthday party, and what do we got to go get a gift? And, it's like, financially, tasking.
Lindsay's like,
Suddenly I gotta go.
You're like, okay, the moment you the moment your feet hit the floor, you're on the go. There's no stop, and the second they come off the floor, your mind is now in this race.
Right.
And I find for parents, I'm just like, you guys, I don't know how you do it, because it's exhausting just to be alive for me most days.
Yeah.
Getting up, getting to work, I'm like, my boss is always like, why are you late? And I'm like, I couldn't get out of bed. I was just really tired, and I had to get dressed and, be a person. And I'm like, these people have to get up at the butt crack of dawn.
Yeah.
I wake up with the sun, I bask with it, have a tea, watch some soaps, whatever. You guys have you're up, you've got kids showered, you've got dogs fed, you've got kids, slippers and backpacks packed and lunches packed, and you take them to school and you've come back because they forgot their laptop, and you've got to get the iPad, and you forgot to get it at the the other parents, and you're just constantly coordinating. It's just I feel like if you just stood still, you'd have a bazillion arms. You'd be like an octopus, a bazillion arms coming off of you, all the time doing something. There's never a sit still moment. Yeah. So I think that's a huge thing for single people without children to take a look at and say, what all do you do in your day? And when you're dating someone who doesn't have children, and you give that I'm too busy energy to someone who doesn't even have children, it's think about that with someone who actually does have children.
You know what's so funny about everything you just said was, I'll get on Facebook on occasion, and I'll see this, and you guys have seen this post too, and it's a huge marker that this person does not have kids. They say, what's a good show to binge? I'm like, dang. That's how you know they don't have kids.
Right.
That is.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
I don't turn my TV on at all.
Nope.
Exactly.
No time for it.
No time.
Or my favorite, what's everyone doing tonight?
Yeah.
You're
What's everybody getting into
we're
tonight?
Sleeping when we can.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a slumber party.
We're doing social studies on the kitchen table. That's what we're doing. Okay. All right. This will be the last question, and then we'll wrap things up. What is one thing that you wish that people that were dating a single parent knew? What's one thing? One thing.
Ooh, I'll let you go first on that one. I could probably soapbox on that one.
Yeah.
We're good. We got some time.
Let's do it. I just did.
So for me, I think it's really... rephrase the question. I want to make sure I phrase my answer correctly.
No, you're good. What is one thing that you would like to tell the people who don't have kids, who are dating a single parent? What is one thing you wish that they knew to help them when they do date a single parent? They're more prepared.
yeah, the time they're giving you is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if they're making the effort, it is an effort. Like it is an effort, and they're also sacrificing too. I mean,
Sure.
Like I mean, this might, I've missed some of my kids' sports games to go on dates with people before, and so like there are times where like that date might have just been drinks for you,
Sure,
or a nice dinner, but for me it was like, oh man, I might have missed my daughter, like score a point or something. Like,
right.
So just realize that the time that they're giving you is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And just offer some gratitude for that, and some patience.
Sure.
And
some gratitude for that.
Yeah.
That's massive. That's massive. Do not cancel on a single parent.
I was about to say it. Thank you for saying that. Oh, please don't cancel.
Don't cancel on a single parent.
I have gone through a logistical nightmare to make a date happen. Please don't.
Real quick, for the both of you two to have gotten here tonight, both of you two saying the exact same thing. I'll try my very best. I'm gonna try to get a babysitter. I'm gonna see how this goes. And you two both made it, and that shows how much you care for me.
Yes.
I really do appreciate you guys being
Thank
here.
you
Like
for
that means so much to me. But yeah, your guys' time is so incredibly valuable as single parents. Lindsay, what is the one thing that you'd like to tell?
So I'm gonna match what he said. That I think from a woman's perspective, it's also so very sexy when a man already has it planned out, and they're not going,
massive.
and they're not asking you, well, what do you want to do? No, I want you to plan it. I want you to plan this date.
Sure.
Because you know what? I've planned everything else around my kids' schedule and everything. And if you don't have kids, especially, please plan the date.
Would you say that that's even
sexy.
more of a turn on than before you had a child? Was them planning a date? So if you're a single parent,
Yes, I do.
Gentlemen, if you're dating a single mom, you planning a date, that's going to separate you from most of the other guys that she has in her DMs. And trust me, she's got plenty. So you're definitely saying make a plan. That way you're able to kind of relax, because that's what you're wanting to do.
Well, it's
right?
relaxing, but I think you're getting to know them as well.
For sure.
You're seeing what they want to do. How would they plan it? What is their?
But based on the schedule that you've given,
Yes.
I'm available these
Yes.
few days. So that's when the guy has the opportunity to step
They
up.
could, I wouldn't even mind if a guy said, well, here, would you like to go to this restaurant or this restaurant?
Sure.
You're giving me two choices.
That's usually how I even do it with Diana. I'm like, are you feeling this one or this one? Don't be like, what do you want, guys? And this goes beyond dating a single parent, period. Always have options. No more than 3.
I'm going to say this about a single dad, too. You don't know. Sometimes they're paying child support. They've got a budget. And I'm trying to be respectful. So if you're saying, well, where do you want to go? What are we,
Right.
What are we
are we
doing
looking
here?
at McDonald's or
Yes.
are we looking at, you know?
Are we going to St. John's?
Correct.
Like, where are we going?
And
What do you want to do?
I don't want to put myself,
Yeah.
you know, give me some options and I'm happy to.
But I think those are also the repercussions of a lazy man. A man who is too lazy to plan a date, you get exactly what you deserve. And
You're not
that's
invested.
$100, $200 bill, and you didn't even ask for it. If you're not planning a date, it's your fault.
I agree with that.
You had some questions.
I had
Let's
two
hear it. Let's
questions.
hear
They're
it.
gonna veer off.
You're good.
So, as a single parent, how do you guys feel about the people you're dating and social media? How does that, like, what do you look at that as far as, like, activity on multiple social media platforms? You know, how does that look for you guys?
I have multiple social media platforms and that doesn't bother me. It doesn't have any bearing on the way I feel or don't feel about somebody, as long as social media can be an outlet for other things.
Of course.
As long as I feel good about the relationship, then it's not a problem. If I feel like, and especially when we're talking about being intentional, if I'm sitting in front of you and I've been intentional with my time and you're on your social media while we're on a date, turn off.
Absolutely
Like, no.
not. Absolutely not. Yeah, and
that's my biggest thing.
that comes down to the respecting of the time. Like, this is super
Absolutely.
valuable. Get off your damn phone.
What's your priority?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really put a whole lot into social media. Like, obviously, in the early stages, you know, it's, hey, are they attractive? Guys were always, like, zooming down to the July pics to see if there's a bikini.
I swear,
What
as
if
a
you
dating
say
coach,
one
I've never even thought about that. I don't know how I didn't think
How?
about. I don't know. I've never thought about that
Like,
ever.
where's the 4th of July party?
4th of July.
Summerfest.
So-
Summer.
Did you go to Coachella? Okay, I got you. Okay.
So,
That's hilarious.
So obviously, like, I do a normal amount of that. But honestly, like, the only thing I do actually look through their social for is, are they
Red flags.
like big, like political red flags, that I know, like, that's just not gonna fly.
Sure.
Like, so, but other than that, like, it's social media is as fake as it can be. So I don't really, mine too. Like, we all put our best foot forward. So,
I got you.
but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Mara?
My other question.
You had one more.
Yeah, I just have a question as far as like the genuineness of a person when you're dating. You know, do you find like the red flags being when someone approaches you and says like, this is what I'm looking for, like I want something serious, blah blah blah, you know, or whatever, or I want something casual, whatever that may be. You know, how do you look at that with someone who approaches you and knows your situation as a single parent? Is like, you know, like in this sense comes to you as like, I know you're not really here for games, like I want to like let you know that I'm not, but then maybe they turn out to be like, you know, opposite of what they say.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
So how do you really vet them?
How do you
really?
vet
How do you
them?
know they're not full of it, just trying to like
How do you
get
feel
out of
safe?
you or get forward through the whole thing? Like, how do you know it's not a charade? Yeah. What's your vetting process?
So I guess I'm an intentional dater, but I'm also a slow dater. Like I'm a mom. I'm not looking to get anywhere quickly with anybody. Now down the road, I like to have marriage, a family, all that. Absolutely. So if you come to me and you say like, this is what I'm eventually looking for, great. But if you're like moving too fast, I'll put brakes on.
Got you.
Because I think that there's a slow and steady pace that has to flow
Sure.
natural. And if you're trying to go too fast, is the honeymoon period going to
For
end
sure.
really fast? Like
For
that's
sure.
going to usually be a roller coaster.
Because there's some guys who are super ready and willing to step almost into that stepfather role, to be the hero to the single mom, and that is a huge red flag for multiple reasons, which we won't even get into. But that is definitely something that I know that some single moms have had to deal with, which is the guy that's just like love bombs, comes in super strong. I can be the hero. I can,
Sending your daughter
and it makes them feel good. Blah blah blah.
Wait
Yes.
a minute. What?
Oh, well, send your daughter gifts. Like, first, no. But you haven't met her yet. Why are you sending her
But
gifts?
you haven't met her.
No.
Yeah. So trying to step into that role too fast.
Let me ask a question on that. I'm like, let me ask a little bit. Okay, so, but were you dating for like a hot minute or no?
We'd probably been on 4 or 5 days.
That's not enough.
That's
Okay.
not
I don't think that's
Tag was
if you
imme-
haven't met
No.
my child, well,
immediately no.
even after you have
Immediately
met
no.
her, gifts are another language to a child.
Ooh,
Yeah.
And
They
I think
are.
you're setting
They are.
another.
They are.
It's one thing as an adult, but you're setting another. Like that's a ton
Birthday
with
card,
a
okay.
child. Birthday cards are
Coloring
fine.
books.
Coloring
And
book,
send it in the
something
mail.
that's super
Yeah.
They love to get-
like not personal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm only asking because I actually
And-
did that.
Like here's
Yeah, I
a
was
necklace
dating-
engraved,
No, no.
No.
So what'd you
But I
say?
did do that.
an engraved
An
necklace.
engraved
Here
I
you
did
go.
date a guy
Woo.
for like, I would say like 5, almost 6 months maybe. And we had kind of made it through like the holidays. So around Christmas, you know, like we went shopping for the girls we'd never met. I'd never met them. And like, I'm a huge person when it comes to boundary. Like I personally don't want to meet your children off the bat. That's a red flag for me.
Yes.
If someone's like wants me to meet their child. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. So we had a pretty good understanding, and I felt like, you know, we're close to 6 months in. So I did want to show that person that I did care that he was a single dad, and that, you know, there's a lot of things going on in his world that was really overwhelming. So I just wanted to like brighten, you know, his day a little bit or something. And I was out one day shopping for some Christmas stuff and stuff for him, and his girls really liked something, you know, like My Little Pony or something like that. And I was like, oh, these are cute, you know, it's like Christmassy. And I was like, here, you can throw this in their stockings. But it's not from me.
Right,
It's
right.
just like,
Yeah, it's just
there you go.
stuffers. Yeah.
But then again, you said you've been dating for 6 months.
Like close, yeah.
So at that
That's
point,
okay.
I mean, you know, I think that's fine.
But you would be like, whoa, that's weird. Like,
No.
No.
We're talking 3 weeks, 4 weeks. That's a
4
that'd be
days.
much.
I'm even talking about like
That's too soon.
sooner than that.
Too soon.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And not cheap gifts either. I'm like,
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was like,
So that's exactly what I'm talking about, like that hero complex. Come in
Yes.
strong, be that dad figure, like, hey, I'm gonna fill this role, like I'm sure they want me, and guys want to be wanted. They want to be
they want a hero.
Well, I don't mean wanted. Men want to be needed. So a
Correct.
guy that sees an opportunity to be needed in a role is very attractive to some who don't feel complete in themselves.
Correct.
And you definitely have to worry about that. Yeah. But dating can be fun.
Dating's so much fun.
It is.
I love going on dates.
Dating
Where's
can
your
be
favorite
fun.
place to go on a date here
Yep.
in Chattanooga? Like, what's your favorite thing? What's your best date? What's
So-
the most fun date you've ever had?
That's the best question. What's the best date you've been on as a parent, not prior parent, as a parent?
Best date. I don't know if that's appropriate for your show.
It is. All
Let's
things
go.
go.
Let's
All
go.
things go.
I'm just kidding.
Let's go.
I think mine was a picnic.
Yours was a picnic?
Yes.
Was it?
And it wasn't expensive. It was out at Ross's Landing on that
Yes.
bridge. I mean, you're in front of a bunch of people,
Yes.
so we're not scared. It's first date.
Sure.
But it was pre-planned. Everything was there. It was very sweet.
It
And
was
It
pre-planned.
was considerate. It was thoughtful.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, did you take me to the nicest restaurant? You put thought and you put effort into it.
Oh my
And
gosh, that
that's
will make me
what,
melt.
yes, it will make every woman melt. That's what women want. Put thought, effort,
Every single time.
Love it.
and make decisions.
Make some decisions, some confident
You do
decisions, like you
that,
know what you're doing.
Promise you.
Yes.
She's wet.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god! Love it. Love it.
Be honest.
You
be
took it. You took.
honest.
All right. Yeah. Best date. Best date.
So, Whiskey Thief for sunset drinks.
Oh, yes.
It's my favorite bar in town.
Okay.
Favorite bar in town.
And then walking down, like on the river walk. And this, I don't know, a lot of women probably wouldn't be okay with this, but I love to like be in nature. So like laying down on the grass down where they have river bend and just
That's
like,
what she was talking about.
yeah, just like talking and like watching the stars and all that is
Yes.
I love it.
fantastic.
That doesn't even sound like a very expensive experience, but it's truly like a bonding opportunity. Like, and that's something that so many people get wrong, is that your first date doesn't need to be expensive.
No.
It really doesn't. The more thought you put into it, the cheaper it can actually be. Not that like price should be, super significant, but the more thought you put into it, the more special it is, the more memorable it's going to be. And like,
Yeah. It's true. I'll be honest. I went on a date with this guy recently. He is a single parent. And
He is?
Yeah, he is. And I drove up too. And so I promise I vetted him. He's a really nice and
okay.
guy.
So,
So,
I'm like, Maraa.
but I did drive out of the way, so I drove like an hour and a half to go meet him because he doesn't live in Chattanooga. And so on the way up, he's like sending my options. He's like, "Where do you want to eat? Here's here. I'll go pick it up." Sends me the menu, and I'm like picking it. He's like, he's calling me. He's like, "I'm at the grocery store." Like he's like getting like drinks for us.
He's almost taking you along for the
Yeah,
ride. I
and
love
it was
this.
Cute. I was like, it's so fun. And then of course, like where he's at, he is building a house, and so he had like a camper on his property. It was a cute camper too. But you
Cute.
can tell like no one had been in this camper before. Like I'm pretty sure like it was. I mean, it was small. So it smelled like it had just been driven off the lot. So. Anyways, it was so cute. He like came in, like we set everything up, and it felt like a little picnic. A little picnic date. And I thought this is so cute, and it was just like the bonding moment of getting to sit with him, over, across from him in our, in this like camper setup, and I'm like, there's no distraction, there's no one else here that I'm like, for me who's very like ADD and like very driven as far as like looking around, I cannot like. I have to really like. It has to be quiet, and so with zero distraction, and I'm always looking around. It's like hard to take me to a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's hard to take me somewhere where I'm just gonna be like my visual is all over the place, and part of that's also for safety. Like I am always on edge that someone's gonna walk in and like shoot the place up, or someone's
Oh my
getting into a
God.
bar fight. I've been to places where people have gotten into bar fights. I'm like, hey,
That's true.
I don't
That's
want to
true.
be like that, or it's just it's too loud and I can't quite like wind down enough to like pay attention to you.
Yeah, that
So-
first date is a really great opportunity for just the two of you to have a really good, fun, light conversation, get to know each other a little bit. Second date, if you get there, should be something that's kind of a contrast. So whatever the mood was for this one needs to be a little bit of a contrast, so that like you're keeping people off a little bit. I mean, because that's really what we're attracted to, is the unknown. It's like, oh, well, the first one was a picnic. Oh, that was a That was very easy. That conversation was great.
Yeah.
Now we're at a concert. This is completely different. Oh, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
Planning that first date sets the tone, though.
It does.
It really
Absolutely.
does. It really does.
Being intentional with your time,
Mm-hmm.
and as a person who has children, being intentional with their time. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
to think
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of time, we are just about out. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Maraa and I, we've been talking about having this space for a long time. You two being our very first guests, we're very, very happy you guys were able to
Thank you.
come.
Yeah.
I know you got kids at the house, you're, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I guess we're about to wrap this all up. Lindsay Tag, thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Maraa, of course, phenomenal co-host as always.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And
yes.
giving us your insight and experience. I think a lot of the followers here are really gonna, enjoy hearing from you guys.
For sure.
I like it.
Do you guys have anything else that you wanted to say to any of the people that you might be dating down the road, or we about cover it? Like we could just keep going. We could just keep going.
We could.
I'm good.
Next
Think we're
episode,
good?
we'll get
Next
to it.
episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part 2. Maybe there's a part 2.
Part 2, yes.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on Dating Today. We'll see you guys next time.
Add it up.